Today I am reviewing Reckless Magic by Rachel Higginson, Book 1 of the Star-Crossed series. I would like to thank the author for providing me with a review copy of this book in return for an honest review. Let's start with the good stuff about the story. For a young adult romance centered around a forbidden love story, I was very happy to see that there wasn't a single love triangle anywhere in sight. I really loved that. All the complications for the romance actually arose from misunderstandings and genuine differences between the characters. That, plus the whole, forbidden romance part of the story. This all led to a interesting and more believable love story. Kieran, the snobby love interest, is a big part of what I found so interesting about the story. He's a jerk. Our heroine, Eden, actually knows and recognizes that he is a jerk. And the best part about him is that even when Eden starts to fall for him, despite his jerk-face tendencies, he doesn't magically lose his jerkness. We see a softer side of him, we see sincerity in him, and we see the trials and reasons for his becoming a jerk in the first place, but we also see his impatience and his possessiveness. And he never actually stops being a jerk. He becomes a sympathetic jerk that readers will care about and relate to, but he still does those face-palming, stupid boy jerk moments. The heroine is also perfectly aware that he is a jerk. She spends about the first half of the story avoiding him because she is aware of that. She's not just completely blinded by love, which, especially for young adults, is a big win. She sees past his status and his jaw-droppingly good looks to the person that he actually is, and when she falls in love with him, it's because she accepts him for who he is, flaws and all. I personally found Kieran the most interesting and complex person in the entire story, and he's the character that I'm most interested to see what will become of him. Now for what didn't work. Aside from the very intriguing Kieran, I found the other characters of Reckless Magic sadly underdeveloped, and especially in the case of our heroine and point-of-view character Eden, to lack much personality or to be very relatable at all. Eden is born into a secret magical society that exists in the world, but she must be raised in ignorance due to politics and a developing savior storyline. Still, she knows that there's something weird about her because she feels what she calls electricity in her body, and she is responsible, somehow, for several inexplicable incidents. This is not an unusual or even bad start to your typical magic series, but I found this one poorly executed, mostly because it's dragged on for far too long. Eden is too ignorant, to the point of disbelief, and she remains ignorant for way too long. Despite hints and prodding from several characters, who she chooses to ignore, and the fact that she literally starts to blow things up, which she decides not to question or confide in anyone about. Because of this, the book has a very slow and frustrating first 100 pages, made worse by the fact that the prologue actually offered up to the reader all of this detail on a silver platter, which is then for the first half of the book dragged out as a mystery. When Eden does finally come to terms with the reality of magic, her ignorance is passed off as her being stubborn and full of herself, neither of which are character traits that I found in her at all up to this point. As the story progresses, neither her ignorance nor her curiosity improves. She continues to bumble around this new magical society, making no real effort to learn more on her own, and killing most of the interest that I had in the tale. I feel like Eden's ignorance was being used as a writing tool or a plot device, but it wasn't done well because it wasn't believable. There was not enough story outside of the mystery that the reader was initially already given the answers to in the prologue to make Eden's long bout of unconvincing ignorance worthwhile. The first 100 pages or so were in dire need of tightening up or cutting out completely. They dragged on too long, and they didn't give us enough story to work on. Eden doesn't actually develop a story goal until well past the midpoint of the story, which did kick up the interest level again. But because I was unable to connect with or sympathize with Eden, the drama and stakes of the tale just didn't concern me. I will say that the final 50 pages of the book did improve immensely on the storyline and my interest level. It made me much more invested in the characters' romance plot, but unfortunately not enough to balance out the floundering of the majority of the book. It's entirely possible that the subsequent books in this series build off the successful ending of the story, but the possibility isn't enough to convince me to grab the next book. I found it overall underwhelming, and I didn't like Eden as a character because she did feel insincere and sometimes artificial, and so I couldn't sympathize or connect with her. I found her hard to relate to. I will specify that young adult paranormal romance is not my usual genre, so it's entirely possible that my issues with this story are, in fact, characteristics of the genre. So if you like paranormal young adults, you might not see the issues or have the problems with it that I did. As it stands, I did find the book itself pretty underwhelming, and so I will be rating Reckless Magic by Rachel Higginson 2 out of 5 stars. That's all from me today. I will see you guys next time.